Hello, I'm Eli with AMS Landscaping.
Hey there, I'm Chad with Aquaman Pools.
Chad, what's the big deal with the pools and the landscaping around it?
Well, so I want to talk about that a little bit. So from a landscaping perspective, and debris in your pool is actually a really big deal. So you can see in this yard, there's trees right by the edge of the pool. So you're getting, leaves and other pods and things like that dropping from your trees into your pool. So what that's causing essentially is causing a lot of organic load in your pool. So you're going to need more chemicals just because of this. And think about it like this: sanitizer, the chlorine essentially in your pool, it keeps your water safe for you and your family. It keeps the algae away, it keeps the viruses and bacteria away from your pool. That now has to essentially work on that organic load. So it's like trying to kill those leaves, if you will, and essentially get them, disintegrated out. So that's an issue, along with just having more debris, right? So now maybe your pool guy's got to come twice a week instead of once. It's an additional cost for sure.
So what is the cost difference if there's all this vegetation? From a landscaper's perspective, I don't even realize what the cost is on your end when there's so much vegetation around a pool.
Yeah, so the cost really is in service visits to get rid of the organics, right? So if you're going to go to twice a week, it might be almost double. I mean, it might be a little bit less than double, but it might be almost double just because of that. And from a chemistry perspective, you're definitely using a lot more chemicals, so your chemicals are going to definitely go up. And that's really a percentage of also who's using the pool and things like that. So there's other things in that, but it could be about double.
Is that all year, or is that just during certain seasons?
Well, obviously it depends on the tree, right? So
Yeah.
if that tree's not dumping in your pool, then that would
There's
change
more
that.
shedding in the wintertime, but there's
Yeah.
more use of the pool in the summer. So
Exactly.
Depends.
Yeah.
Gotcha. As a landscaper, it sounds like I should probably recommend trees that don't shed as much.
Yeah.
And vegetation maybe not so near the pool.
Well, and I had a question about that from a landscaping perspective. What trees do you, as a landscaper, what could you recommend for, maybe my clients and other clients that are thinking about this? Maybe they're building a pool in their yard, or maybe they have a tree they're taking out. Like, what else would you recommend for that?
So my favorite tree to recommend for low shed anywhere is the live oak tree. It seems to have the least amount of shed,
Yep.
but there's also a great options like the Chinese pistache tree, which will lose all its leaves, but it loses them all in a short period in January usually. And it's cool because there's a little color change, but then you're done with it.
That's better.
Yeah. And there's literally almost no shed with those trees during the year, which is why I really like them. And what's better about that tree is they actually grow faster and larger. The live oak tends to grow a little more slow.
Yeah. So the other thing I was thinking about, and we had talked a little bit about this earlier, was if you have bushes maybe next to your pool, how do you, from a landscaper's perspective, like maybe keeping those trimmed, from a pool guy's perspective, we don't want those bushes too close, right? Because you need access around that pool. And by code, you need to be able to get around your pool just in case, God forbid somebody's in there and needs help, right?
Yeah. And also from that same landscape perspective is if you have shrubs that are growing over a sidewalk, that's just if it's trimmed and it's over the sidewalk, all that new growth is going to be even further over the sidewalk, and all the blooms are actually on the end of the tips of the branches,
Yep.
which means that's the part that drops, and that's going to be closer to the pool, which means it's going to get more debris in the pool.
Yeah, so that's a really great point, because you have people have bushes right next to their pool. So if you keep those trimmed back a bit, then those little flowers and those leaves aren't falling into the pool. So that's a great way to look at that. So.
And there's also great recommended plants that I choose to use around pools that smaller leaves and smaller flowers tend to shed more.
Yeah.
And get more debris. Like bougainvilleas are terrible in backyards if you have a pool. I'm sure you know
pool guys
this.
hate bougainvilleas.
Yeah. So some of my favorite shrubs, they're not really native here, but they're really tropical looking and beautiful, are the red hibiscus. They got a flower sometimes as big as my hand. When it drops, it doesn't easily get into the pool. Just any type of desert shrub. I love Texas sage is a great desert shrub here that can be cut back severely, and they live really well. They only bloom a couple times a year for a short period of time.
Yep. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's good. Less landscaping, less trees and stuff around your pools, always better.
Yes.
Yep.
So a landscape like this one, like we were showing here, there's some sweet acacias behind us, which shed quite a bit. You've got the Palo Verde right here behind us. It's literally almost overhanging the pool. They obviously will drop these little tiny yellow flowers that are just messy, really messy. And the smaller the flower, it's just the messier. There's more of them accumulating. So that's really what you try to stay away from when you're planting around a pool. but also just cutting it back if it's already there and you don't really want to get rid of it in this instance.
And we mentioned too that you've got a website that maybe has some recommendations for this, right? So we can maybe put that in the comments and people can check that out.
There's a great link that we'll be sure to add somewhere around this video that will explain recommended plants for the Arizona desert and a way to filter it out for best landscape plants and trees for around pools.
That's awesome. Obviously, if we can help anybody, we'd love to.
Yeah. If you guys have any other questions, once again, my name is Eli Hall with AMS Landscaping. You can contact us online at azlawns.com.
I'm Chad with Aquaman Pools. We're at supercleanpools.com.